up being raised in this life because they told us we was black when we really the Israelites. And I don't wanna be no plug, that's all they talking about. I don't wanna be no thug, that's all they talking about. I don't wanna be no hitter, that's all they talking about.
Check. Okay. Go ahead, bro.
It's rolling.
Good? Okay, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. Right? We do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. Yo, brother right here, with the flyer, man. What questions do you have for my brother here? You good? See, that's the thing, man. Our people think they're good, man, but they're not doing anything that's pleasing to the Most High. The thing that everybody thinks out here when we talk about Juneteenth, right? Because once again, we're out here in Oakland talking with our people about Juneteenth, and they say this is the common thing. We got to think it, right? This is how the brother thinks. He thinks he's good, but we're not doing nothing that the Most High God said for us to do to even be good. How can you be good when your people are getting shot down on the streets every single day? When there's 85,000 of our kids going missing, man. There's nothing good going on here in America. And you're getting one stupid ass day out of the whole year, but then gay people can get a whole ass month. Man, but they give you 1 day. Right. When they talk about reparations, man. See, I want to talk with black people about reparations, and they don't care, bro. Until they see it in the news, white people deciding what they feel should be right to give you. Right? This is crazy, man.
Here, give me what you had. What you had first. Get me. Actually, you had Titus 2:16. Get that first.
This is crazy, man. Even just talking about it out like this, man, gets you riled up. And if it doesn't get you riled up, you being so-called black, this is crazy, man. Sister, what do you think reparations looks like for black people? What should it look like?
The 40 acres in the mule.
Man, what 40 acres in the mule would have been crazy right now in the Bay Area, wouldn't it? How come we didn't get that?
We didn't get it because the white man didn't want us to get it.
Okay, so perfect.
Honestly.
What should it be today then?
So if we're in California, an acre is probably $2 million.
Imagine 40.
So 2 times 40.
They're not giving us that. Not even here.
Well, that's what it looks like today.
Is that what you think it should be?
Yeah.
So you don't think? So what happened for slavery? What they did to our people? You're like, you know what? I'll let it slide if you give me 40 acres.
In California, I'll take 40 acres.
What is anywhere else? Why would being in California change that?
Because California, the property is expensive out here.
You
get more money out here than Atlanta, Georgia, or some other place.
Okay, so you're saying it's the location. So have you ever driven to LA?
I have a home in LA.
So when you're driving on Highway 5 and you pass all those hundreds of acres and hundreds of miles of nothingness out there, they'll say, all right, I'll give you 40 acres, but it's over there though. Go get that. Is that cool for you?
In Florida?
No, in the middle of nowhere, in the desert.
No. I said out here.
Okay, so
reparations should go by state. That's what I'm
okay,
saying.
You know what's interesting?
So if you are a resident of California who was born and raised in California and it was documented that you're African American here in California, then you should get your reparations here.
You know what's interesting though? You know what's interesting? I was just reading up on this is the indigenous land here too. Right, but here's the thing. They were talking about how, I'm sure you were up on the news of the reparations stuff, right? So here, they were saying that it was only about 4,000 so-called slaves that got brought to California. So then they're making it a big deal, like, okay, now they got to be able to prove that they actually descend from somebody that was a slave, this and that.
It does not matter because all our forefathers that came over from Africa hit the southern states, and we migrated in. So that's the reason.
So I was leading up to something with that, right? Because they're deciding too how much they should give us, right? And here's the thing: they're like, no, you know what? That sounds like too much. You know how long they've been talking about giving black people reparations? But when the Ukraine thing is going on, you know they give them billions of dollars. When 9/11 happened, they gave them money. When the so-called Holocaust of Jewish people happened, they gave the supposedly descendants of 6 million people, even though they can't prove it was 6 million people, they gave all of them reparations. They found a way to give them money. The Japanese, they found a way to give them money. But when it comes to so-called black people, I don't know how we're gonna give them money. Well, let's think about it.
I'm not hating on everybody else's reparations. They deserve it too. But I'm but we deserve it too.
So, okay, so here's the thing. I would think that it's something bigger than money that we should be getting, don't you think?
So you're trying to get me to say something other than what I already said. So what do you think?
Perfect. Right, you believe in God?
Of course.
So let me ask you this. In the Bible, can you find somewhere where it says, when they kill your people, when they rape, rob, and murder over 100 million of your people, it's okay for them to just give you some land and it'll be cool? Because I'm going to give you my answer out of the Bible, and I would love to know what you think about it, right? Give me that in Numbers 35.
So the thing is, I'm a Christian, right?
Cool.
And I'm not saying that the Old Testament does not apply, son.
Okay,
But
Revelation
as
13.
We're in a different dispensation after Christ, right? Everything has changed, right? We don't live by the law anymore.
Okay,
the law,
perfect.
that was a Mosaic law,
Okay.
right? We don't live by the law anymore, but
Okay.
I do believe in justice.
So before we jump to a
And
different
he
topic,
is a just God.
okay, God is a just God. Before we jump to 100 other topics, I want to stick on that topic that we're talking about, right? So I was going to go to an Old Testament verse. You said that's
And
the
let's
Old
go
Testament.
to the New Testament.
Let's go to the
So
New.
what does
Is Christ
Ephesians
verse?
say? What does
Hold on, sister. Ephesians says a lot of stuff, right? But I want to go to Christ's word. That supersedes what Paul says, right?
Go
Let's
to
see
it.
what Christ says.
Go to
Revelation
it.
13:10.
And is this the Holy Bible?
Of course.
Yes. Okay.
Revelation 13, starting at 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall...
So you agree? We got led into
Let him
captivity.
finish.
Okay.
I got it.
He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Of the saints.
Sister, what does that verse mean?
So, who are the saints?
I mean, that in Psalms 55. Psalms 55. I got you.
Who are the saints?
I got you. The Israelites are the saints. I'm gonna prove that to you.
We are the saints if you believe in Jesus.
Sister,
We
are
are
white
the
people saints that believe in
If they
Jesus?
believe in Jesus, yeah.
What about the white people that killed your ancestors? Are they saints too?
Listen, we are supposed to forgive, right? But I still believe.
So,
yeah,
hold on.
No, I still believe. No. Jesus says, love one another as you love yourself, and to
Okay.
forgive one another.
Okay.
But
I agree.
I still feel as if we deserve something.
Okay, I agree. So if you agree with that, forgive one another, why did Jesus right here say take them to captivity and kill those people who killed with the sword? Jesus contradicted himself?
He is talking about, let me tell you what okay, everyone has their own interpretation.
Great,
Right? So he's talking about the old law versus the new law.
Read 13:10
Okay?
again.
That's what I believe. And so he says, if you believe in this, then yeah. Because when you know what he said, they said, Jesus, well, what about this? What about that? He says, well, show me a coin. And then they showed him a coin. And then he said, whose face is on that? And they said, Caesar's. He says, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. It is about the Old Testament versus the New Testament. You need to be spiritually discerned.
Sister, hold on, sister. I just had to talk on this, man. Listen, man, that is crazy.
Hey,
Shalom, man, shalom.
my thing is this. She said that.
Hey, she said that give to Caesar what is Caesar's, but she's ready to take Caesar's money, Ock. That's wild, bro.
That's crazy. Just fit her own head on.
See, and that was I was gonna go into that, and I'm glad that she brought that up because I completely forgot about that. We were just talking about that last night about how Jewish people go through the Holocaust. They get all that reparation money. No questions asked. They didn't have to prove if they're Jewish. 9/11 victims, they got reparations. Japanese people got reparations. I'm sure that they're talking about you had to be able to hire what's it called? A genealogist to be able to go through your history to be able to prove that you even deserve reparations. What kind of crap is that, man? Ukrainians didn't have to prove that they're Ukrainians. Why should so-called black people have to prove that they descend from somebody that was enslaved when you're living here in America enslaved still, man? In captivity. How you doing, sister? I'm blessed. Yo, how you girls doing? How you doing? Man, I'm dealing with
And I know
so-called...
I'm not supposed to wear no pants, so don't say nothing to me.
You said what again?
I know I'm not supposed to wear pants.
let me teach you
Don't
something.
say nothing.
I'm not gonna teach you that. I'm gonna show you something.
I know.
Sister, what's your name?
Colette.
Pull up the verse. You said your name was what again? Colette. Colette. Okay. I'm gonna show you something. The Bible was written in what language? The Old Testament written in the Hebrew, right? So we gotta understand the Hebrew to know what it really is talking about, right? I'm gonna show you something. The word for man in the Hebrew, it's ayash. That's how you say man, right? And this is the interesting thing. That verse that you're talking about doesn't say ayash. I'm gonna show you what it says. Right? Give me 23 and 22 and 5.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 5. The women shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man,
That's what you're saying, right?
neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
Uh-huh.
For all that do, so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God.
So people go here and say, you know what, a woman's not supposed to wear pants, right? That's what they say. But here's the thing, the Hebrew doesn't reflect what the English says. So let's see what the Hebrew says, right?
It's a Hebrew word for man right here, and it says H1397. And it says, it's gabar, a man, a strong man, a warrior.
A warrior. So it's pretty much saying our sisters can't be out there being Mulan. They can be out there being a warrior. They can wear pants, for example. Pants then is a man thing, right? That's what your understanding is? Can men wear apple bottom jeans? They do. See, they do. But here's the thing. Out here wearing, does it look, is that normal? Would you say that's normal? That's what I'm saying. This is crazy. Out here with leggings or something, that's not normal. That doesn't look right. Right? And here's the thing. If it belongs to men, they should just be able to wear it. Right? But here's the thing. There's feminine pants, and there's also pants for men. Right? Because women can wear pants that isn't revealing. They don't have to be showing your ass the whole time. Right?
And also at the time when they wrote this in antiquity, men didn't wear pants either. The prophets wore robes. So we got to take that into account too, right?
And what's your nationality, sis? You're black? What type?
My dad's black, so I go by the sea.
Black from Panama, though. Your dad's a black man from Panama, though, right? I have some friends from Panama, and yeah, black as well, from Nicaragua, black men from there, right? But they were brought there, right? They're not indigenous to Panama. Your dad is from there, and is that?
Well, no, my dad's, he's from the United States.
He's black.
He's black. Okay.
But my dad's from Jamaica, Kingston.
Okay, yeah. So your dad is black from Panama. Your dad is black from here in America, right? So here's the thing. The Bible talks about nations, right?
Right?
So, yeah, you're Benjamin, sis. Banyanya. Right? And you're with Judah. Where did you hear this before?
I follow IUIC.
IUIC. Okay, cool. And you're learning from your daughter? So from the stuff that she's teaching you?
My dad's the one that brought us to this.
All praises.
From IUIC.
All praises. And what do you think about what he's teaching y'all?
Absolutely right.
Well, yeah, because we basically don't follow religion. We follow the Holy Bible.
Okay, all praise. That's beautiful, and that's exactly the same thing. That's the same thing that we teach, right? We're supposed to follow what the Bible teaches, not necessarily what the religion teaches, because this is him. Give me that in Titus 1:16, right? And everything that your husband is teaching you, are you for example, the laws of God? Are you sticking with those, or what do you? Is there any that you're kind of like, I don't know, this doesn't make sense?
Like for example, like today's the Sabbath, so he's not coming out today.
Yeah, my
Okay,
dad doesn't
so
do
if he believes that, that's the Sabbath, is he an IUIC or is he just following them?
No, he just follows.
Okay, so if he believes that, and he's teaching you, you have to do this, how come you're not doing what your husband's saying to do?
Because I believe for myself.
All praise. Okay.
So I'm
So
not
he,
finished
that's
reading. So,
Yeah.
I like that. My dad always says, don't listen to me because you need to follow the
Okay,
Bible
cool.
for
I'm
yourself.
gonna show you something. So you're saying you're still reading on that, right? So about the Sabbath, that's still in Genesis, right? So is there something about the Sabbath that you have questions on that we could fill in for you?
No, but I do have a question, but it's not about the Sabbath.
Okay, go ahead, sis.
So you know how, so I don't eat pork or like, I don't eat shellfish and stuff like that. But it's kind of hard to, like, so I get mine from the Old Testament, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of hard to tell other people, like if you're trying to educate, like where they always point out in the New Testament, God says that you can eat
there's a bunch of questions you could ask them that'll make them contradict everything, right? For example, they'll say, when did that change? You'll ask them, when did it change? They'll say, when Jesus died. That verse that they're talking about in Acts 10, Acts is way after Jesus died. So wouldn't you think that the people, especially the rock of the church, Peter, would understand that when he's learning from Jesus himself, that he would know that you can eat anything now? What sense would it make for Peter to talk to Christ and him learn from Christ, okay, you can eat whatever you want now, but then years later, months later, still question like, you know what, God, I'm not allowed to eat none of this. Why would he do that? Why would he say no to God 3 times? You know what I mean? If Jesus did away with that, right? What did you have? And here's the thing, give me that in Matthew 5. Keep that, Titus still, and get Matthew 5 and 17.
This is Matthew 5:17. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets.
I'm sure you've heard this verse plenty of times. Okay, you've heard this verse before, Matthew 5? Okay, you didn't what?
Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets.
So even just right there, Christ didn't come to do away with the law, right? What did he do?
I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
But to fulfill, right? Even here, Christians will say, even some of our people would say, okay, you see the law is fulfilled through Christ, now I can eat whatever I want. So then the question becomes, what did he fulfill, right? So give me Acts 3 and 18. Right, because this like, I'm sure how you know, the Bible is written through precepts. This is how you get into your understanding. The whole Bible has to make sense, right? It can't say, God doesn't change, my law endures forever, but then later, okay, forget what I said earlier. That's done now. That doesn't make sense. It has to.
It's Acts 3 and 18. But those things which God beforehand had shewed by the mouth of all his prophets, that Christ should suffer, he has so fulfilled.
So that's what Christ did. He fulfilled everything about him suffering and dying for Israel, right? Because there's prophecies about Christ coming back and conquering. He didn't fulfill that, but he fulfilled him dying for us. That's what he fulfilled. Go back to Matthew 5.
Verse 18, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled.
So all be fulfilled. Right here, and here's understanding. The land is still here, the sky is still there, the heavens are still there. Not everything has been fulfilled yet. So why would you even say that any part of the law is done away with? He said not even the smallest point of the law, right? So let's see. Go ahead.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 15 and verse 19. Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble them not, that we trouble not them, Salaki, which from among the Gentiles are turned to God.
Right, so this is talking about when somebody new is coming into this, they're going into, okay, this is what you're supposed to do so you don't make it a burden to them, right?
But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols.
So pollutions from idols, right?
Go ahead.
And from fornication, and from things strangled from blood.
Right, from things strangled from blood. That even then is an animal that's dying within himself. And this even a quick sidebar, this is even something that helps prove that these people who he's talking to are Israelites. Because in the Old Testament, in the law of Moses, you can give something that died, you could give that to a heathen. But us being the pure people, we're supposed to, okay, you're only supposed to eat what a king and a princess would eat. You can't eat anything that you just found on the road, right? Anything that, a bird that's on the floor, you can't eat that. You have to kill it yourself, right? Because otherwise it's what? Died of sickness or something, right?
Go ahead.
Verse 21. For Moses,
For who?
for Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach him, being read in the synagogues every Sabbath day.
So this is the thing. They were teaching Moses' laws in the synagogue every single day. For example, Jesus wasn't reading, and Jesus did this, and Jesus did that. He's reading the laws of Moses. When he brought out scriptures, he brought out who? The prophets. Isaiah 66, right? Yeah, Isaiah 66 and 17.
But that's the point, though. Like, if the law's done away with, even after Christ died in Acts 15 in his council, they're saying all the proselytes that are coming into the truth do these laws. and after that they go to the synagogues every Saturday or every Sabbath, quote unquote, to learn more of Moses' laws. That's what they're getting taught. So what's in Moses' law? Not eating pork and shrimp, crab, and lobster. It's the same thing. This is in Acts 15. So that can't be true. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So that one of the scrolls that is passed to Christ, right, is the Isaiah scroll when he starts talking about the gospel, right? What you'll also find in Isaiah is prophecy, right?
Isaiah 66 and 7, starting at 15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire.
Obviously, this hasn't happened yet. We've never heard about that in history where you see destruction coming down.
For by fire and by his word will the Lord plead with all flesh.
With all flesh, not just a little area. It's with all people, with all the Israelites. Right? Go ahead.
And the slain of the Lord shall be many.
Shall be how many?
Many.
Right?
They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord.
So this is a prophecy now. Anybody who was found that day eating swine's flesh and the abomination. What's the abomination? It's all these other unclean animals. So if your friends are out there telling you, okay, Christ did away with the law then, Christ said I can eat whatever I want, then that would make them saying that Christ is literally preparing you to get killed, most likely by him when he comes back, which does not make sense. This prophecy still has to happen, right? I've actually had Christian pastors tell me that that's actually not going to happen. And I'm like, so Isaiah's the false prophet then? They're like, I'm not saying he's a false prophet, I'm just saying that's not going to happen, which is crazy. It doesn't make sense.
This is the book of John, 1 John chapter 2 from the top. My little children, these things I write unto you, that ye sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. And he is a propitiation for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for the sins of the whole world.
Right, obviously we know he's going into the Israelites here. Go ahead.
Verse 7, brethren, I write no new commandment unto you.
So this is what I'm saying. There's nothing new that's getting taught like that. Everything that Christ was talking about is the law. He's literally reiterating the law and giving you that spirit behind it. He's saying, I give you no new commandment. Oh, it's John. Con, go ahead.
But an old commandment which ye have had from the beginning. The old commandment is the word which ye have heard from the beginning.
Is that what you're trying to get over? Con, so here's the thing. Even this is all the prophets, all the apostles. Exactly. So exactly, Christ is teaching the law to his disciples. His disciples were not doing anything different. They're not sitting there teaching all the newcomers, all the people who are trying to get that understanding of what Christ came and did for them. He's not teaching them something completely different. Like, that's why I'm saying, if Peter was the rock of the church and walked with Christ, why would he have an understanding that's different than anything he said? He taught the law, he taught them to keep the law, and that's all he did. You know what I mean? And people can't hate on you for saying, you know what, I believe in what God said, and I'm going to stick with it. Especially when prophecies back it up. When prophecy says he's going to kill whoever's eating swine's flesh, what are you going to say? He doesn't see me? Because literally in that verse, it's saying those who hide themselves to do this. Doesn't make sense, right? So then you have the understanding of not eating abominable foods, but not the Sabbath. You have the understanding you don't eat shrimp, crab, lobster, none of that. Both of y'all. All praises. All praises. So here's the thing. What is it about the Sabbath that you're not quite getting yet so that you can get it?
Y'all don't keep the Sabbath.
And I'm still not, I guess, comprehending what is that. Where can I find?
That's a great question.
You know Genesis 1:14? So what I did was...
Great question.
Give me that in Ezekiel 46. Yeah, Con. I don't get this, right? Because it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense if we're getting the law, back in the time of Moses, using the Gregorian calendar, which we use today, which at one point had like 13 months or like 8 or 9 day weeks. How does it fit in, right? We can't be using heathens' customs to dictate what the Israelites were doing, right? Because we're supposed to be different. So how are we going to be different if we're doing and following the same things that they're doing, right? The Most High gave us what we should use, right?
Book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 14. And God said, let there be a firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night.
Read that again.
Verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night.
So what would be these lights in the firmament? The stars and what else? The moon, the sun, right? Because, for example, the stars, when you go into the stars in astrology, there's only certain stars that you can see in certain months, right? So the stars that you know what months you're in, right? The moon, the seasons, right? All that, even going into like the tropics, supposedly the different tropics that are in the stars, right? The Tropic of Capricorn, the Tropic of Cancer, supposedly, right? All these different things that we equate with knowing what seasons we're in, right? The sun, what does the sun let you know? Huh?
Hours.
The hours, right? Like a sundial, right? You can look at the sun and you can, when the sun is right above you, it's 12 o'clock. That's how it works. That's how it works with the sundial. That's how time zones work, right? Because obviously when the sun is right above me, it's not going to be the same thing in China. It's not going to be in the same places that it is for me in my perspective, right? That's how sundials work. Then the moon, right? Go ahead.
And let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years.
Right, so these are the things. We're supposed to be looking at these things that the Most High God gave us to have an understanding of what to do. Because, see, this is a scenario that we always ask our people. If you were dropped on a deserted island, how would you know what day it is? How would you know when to keep the Sabbath if you don't have a calendar? If you don't have it written on your phone, today's Thursday, get ready. You know, you don't have none of that. The Most High God is perfect. He gave you everything you need. Right? He gave you the sun, the moon, the stars. The moon, let's read about the moon.
This is Sirach 43:6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times. A declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast.
The sign of what? Of feast. What's the Sabbath? It's a feast day. Same thing with the new moon. Same thing with all the high holy days. They're feast days, right? I mean, other than Day of Atonement where you got to fast, but for the most part, they're all feast days, right? They're days where you have to congregate, be happy, right?
A light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing. Increasing wonderfully in her change.
So that lets you know that the moon, when it's a so-called new moon, that's the start of the month. When you actually give me that word in the Hebrew, if you can, for new moon, right? I believe it's the word Kodesh, right? Right. So that starts the first of the month. It says it increases wonderfully. It doesn't make sense if we were to sit here and say that the full moon is the new moon, because how is it going to increase? It's already completed, right? So then we're going to say it increases because it's a new moon. It's the dark moon, right? Oh, sorry. All right, go ahead.
All right, this is the Hebrew word for moon. This is Strong's 2319. H2320. Hodesh. And definition: the new moon, monthly, the first day of the month, the lunar month.
That's the thing. The Hebrews kept a lunar calendar. We followed the moon. We followed what the Most High God gave us. Right? So the moon dictates when should be the new moon. Right? Hey, Miko, step back a little bit over there. Yeah. Go ahead. Okay, Cece.
I don't know if you're the Apocrypha. I don't know where you're reading from.
This is the Apocrypha. Okay. You want me to...
But what I'm
Give me that in
saying is,
Ezekiel.
I'm like a lay person. You get a little deep, so I'm confused. Yeah. So at the end of the day, from a lay person, when is the Sabbath? Does it start at Friday night? I mean, you know what I mean?
Okay. I'm gonna give you an example.
Book of Samuel, chapter 20, verse 24. So David hid himself in the field.
Are you familiar with the story with David?
Okay. And when the new moon was come, the king sat down to eat meat. And the king sat upon his seat as other times, even upon the seat by the wall. And Jonathan,
Okay, go ahead.
that David's place was empty, and Saul said unto Jonathan his son, wherefore cometh not the sons of Jesse to meet, neither yesterday nor today? And Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem.
See, this is before that. This is before that, because it says it's the first day of the month here. Right there, it's saying it's the second day. Watch this. No, that's what I'm saying, but right there it says it's the second day. Exactly. Right there, verse 18. Go ahead. Watch this. This is what I'm trying to get you to understand. So that when David is hiding, it's a specific day, right?
Go ahead.
Verse 18. Then Jonathan said to David, tomorrow is a new moon,
Tomorrow's the new moon.
and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty.
So tomorrow's the new moon. Go back to the verse that you talked about you initially.
Yeah.
So David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, the king sat down to eat meat, and the king sat upon the seat as at other times.
So here it's the new moon, right? He's saying now they're feasting in the new moon. Now go ahead on verse 27.
And it came to pass on the morrow,
The day after the new moon, what?
which was the second day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meet, neither yesterday nor today?
See, that's the point. The day before that is the new moon, right? And he's saying they're going to have a feast. Then it came to pass the next day, which was the second day of the month. So letting you know what the day after the new moon, or the day that the new moon is, that's the first day. The new moon is the Sabbath. So the new moon, for example, I'm going to give you an example. So say the new moon is Sunday, right? What sense would it make that the new moon is on a Sunday, that's your Sabbath, and not even 7 days later, or 5 days later, you're keeping Friday to Saturday Sabbath? There's brothers that believe that the new moon does dictate the new month, but they'll still stick with Friday to Saturday because it's easy. You don't have to work Saturday, right? That's the thing. The guy. We have calendars that we have out there. We can give you a calendar, right, that dictates that'll show you from what we've understood, like the agricultural monthly cycles, about when the Sabbath is, right? And we have it mapped out the whole month, so you can get ready today, right? And you'll come to understand when you start following it, you can look at the moon and say, you know what? Yeah, all right, the Sabbath is going to be in a few days based on what you see with the moon. Okay. Of course not. Of course not. That's what on the new moon. That's the dictate of the first day, right? So the new moon is the first day of that month. The first Sabbath. Yeah, right. 7 days after that would be the next Sabbath. 7 days after that would be the next Sabbath. And you'll see that every 15th day, because it goes the first of the month, the 8th of the month, the 15th. You'll see when it's the 15th of that month, or technically the third Sabbath that month, it's always going to be a full moon. It's always going to be a full moon. And you'll see it's always perfect. Right? Tonight actually is the new moon of this month. So starting tonight, the belief of the lunar calendar is the new moon. Right? We're all going to get together. We're all going to congregate. The Sabbath will start tonight for us. What verse was that? First Samuel 20. It's 24 to 27. 1 Samuel 20. Right? And see, it can't get any more clear than that. Right? The night of the new moon, gone. And then it says on the morrow, which was the second day of the month. Right? So I know it doesn't say it's okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all this, but it gives you some sign, an indicator of what was going on. It was the new moon. So then you got to figure out when the new moon is. And we read that in SICARII. Do you believe it? Do you how would you say? Do you subscribe to the Apocrypha? Is that why you were asking?
Oh, yeah, I have it at home.
Okay.
haven't really read them.
Okay. Right, so Sirach 43, that's that verse that goes into the moon and what it does and what it serves. That's what I'm saying. So if it increases in her perfection, that means it's not a full moon. Time.
So why does IUIC?
Listen, that's a question you would have to ask, you know, your pops and their understanding. I do not bash those brothers for what they teach. If they're keeping the Sabbath, all praises, you know what I mean? But or trying to keep the Sabbath, all praises for that, you know?
That's the one of the groups.
Okay.
I'm not sure which one that is.
Okay. You want to talk? We can talk about that. Is there what about it is that that kind of you're like, no, I'm not feeling that. What is it?
I don't know in the Bible where it talks about
I'm gonna show you.
This is Exodus 21 and 10. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish.
That's the law. If a man wants to take another wife, he can't pretty much diminish anything from the first wife. He has to still pretty much support both of them, right? So here's the thing.
Because when they say, okay, you can't divorce unless you have death, the adultery, and so then if you take on all those wives, none of these wives can ever leave you unless you do. But then if you don't commit adultery,
What's wrong with that? You're saying it like it's a bad thing.
well, it ain't no right thing.
So here's the thing. Here's the answer to that. Here's the answer. You get you a right man. You get yourself the right man. Don't go get some dirtbag and be like, now I'm stuck with this guy. Take your time. Find the right man.
Until you know sometimes.
You gotta court. You gotta court.
You don't know sometimes until you know. I've been married 33 years.
All praise.
So I'm good with that, but I'm just saying that, it's so specific on how you can't.
Here's the thing. What I found is that you said it's a problem because now that woman is stuck with that man. That's not a problem. I would assume being a single mother would be a problem. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying that's not. I'm saying absolutely.
You'd be like, damn, now I can't leave this guy. Now I'm stuck with it.
But he can stay with you and have all these wives, and he's not committing adultery and none of that.
Right, because what is adultery, sis? What is adultery?
Like if you go out, you're married and you go have an affair with somebody, that's adultery.
With who?
Right?
With
anybody.
That's who?
That's the American standard.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
that is American standard, not our
That's
standard.
not the
I
Bible,
don't
though.
teach
That's
that in
not
my
the
home.
Bible.
Yeah, for example, you say you descend from the tribe of Benjamin, right?
I go with Jamaican, is that Benjamin?
Yeah,
Right, Benjamin. How many wives did Israel have?
I don't know. That's what I was just talking about the wives.
That man had children with 4 women, right? And we descend, so-called black Hispanic Native Americans descend from one of those women.
This is my problem.
Right?
See, would you guys all have multiple wives?
No,
That's a
no.
lot.
I mean, it could definitely be a lot, but here's the thing, it could also be help. Right, for example, I just had a child, right? My wife out there tripping, stressing, and all kinds of stuff. It would be nice if she had some help when I'm not there, wouldn't it?
That's right.
It would be nice if someone else was help to do clothes, to cook, you know what I mean, to do anything, change the kid when I'm not there. She's stressing like crazy.
So you can have 5 wives, about 20
Give me Jeremiah 4.
That's
Now
the
you're
purpose.
on a situation.
Be fruitful and
Be fruit-
multiply.
that was one of the
I
first
agree.
commandments.
That's why we don't believe in abortions, okay? We don't
Isaiah
believe
4.
in that.
Oh,
Hey, as is written.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 4 from the top. And in that day, 7 women,
In that day, what?
7 women shall take hold of one man.
So not even just the 4 that Jacob had, that was 7. That was a complete number.
Number of women that he's having, right? Hold on, Slocky. Read up. Say that.
Saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Let us be called by that name to take away our reproach.
So here's the thing, and people want to say that this is going to be in heaven, right? It's saying these women are saying, let us take up this man to take away our reproach, meaning they still have reproach. But in the kingdom, we're going to be sinless. We're going to be perfect, right? So meaning what? This is not going to be in the kingdom. This is leading up to being in the kingdom, right? 7 women are taking hold of one man, right? So this is the thing. we can have a problem. You, as women, I can get it. You know what I mean? I'm not, nobody's stupid. Everybody understands jealousy, right? But here's the thing, there's a right way to do everything, right? So just because necessarily you can do it, it's not for everybody. I know guys that definitely they can barely handle with one woman. They definitely do not need 4, 5, 6 of them, right? It needs to be done right and righteously, because it is the righteous thing. That's one of the first commandments. Be fruitful and multiply. But as being fruitful and multiplying, you're supposed to be able to raise those kids right, teach them right, right? Otherwise, that man's leading his family into destruction, right? Is there anything else in the Bible that you're like, you know what?
Every woman has a problem with
Yeah, of course.
Well, not
course.
all of them, but the majority of them. Because they raised in America, that's all.
Yeah, can't get that.
I'm gonna show you what adultery is, because you touched on that, right?
Go ahead.
Because then it wouldn't make sense if Jacob had slept with his one wife and then went around and literally got bought to sleep with the other wife to have Issachar, and then another one he slept with another one. How would that be adultery, right? Go ahead.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 10. And the man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall be put to death.
So that's the distinction, right? If you're a single man, or if you're a man and that woman is single, that's nothing wrong with that. No, here's the thing, fornication. Let's
be married before you have.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about that. Genesis 24? 24 in the last verse.
Better to marry than to burn.
Okay, for example.
So you have to sign paperwork?
So
whatever that is, but you know, fornication means then you can just go around and be all over the place.
That's not true.
And here's the thing. If everything that you had said about, okay, now that woman's stuck with that man. If she leaves that man, that would be adultery. If she goes and stays with somebody else now. We're saying that woman has to stay with that man unless the man sleeps with another man's wife, then she's free to go. You're saying that it's a problem because she can't just go somewhere else. That's adultery right there. Right? Here's the thing. And would you say that Isaac, okay, before I get there, how are you supposed to get married? What is marriage in your eyes?
I know it's through the law of the law of the land.
Law of the land.
Law of the land. I mean, that's going to and having the paperwork.
That's what they teach.
But no, I don't. I said the law of the land. That's what I said, the law of the land.
Okay.
Right? So that's how you get married. That's how we know to get married, right?
So
I don't know about going.
So for example, what if you're in a crazy country where they don't sign papers and they're like, okay, you got to do this wild, off the wall stuff to get married?
Or an idolatrous.
Yeah, like something wild. But that's what I'm saying. What if you're in another country where their practice in order for you to get married is, I know there was this damn country. Yeah, I know this other country where if you go visit them, it's somewhere in Africa. You go out there and visit them, you're allowed to sleep with their wife for them to show you that you're welcome there. That's crazy. Yeah, but that's the law of the land.
I've seen that.
That's the law of the land. That's crazy. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna show you the laws of God, right? I'm gonna show you what the Bible says, right?
Go ahead.
This is Genesis 24 and 67. And Isaac brought her. Should I go back for? Okay, comments. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent.
So Isaac brought Rebekah into his mom's tent
and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And Isaac brought her into his mother's Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother.
So what happened in that tent? Something happened in that tent where after that, she became his wife.
So that's it.
They didn't go in there and there was a priest in there with papers saying, you know what, here's the ring and
So anybody you go in that tent with, any house, apartment, and you
any man that you sleep with,
you the married.
that's your husband. Right? That's why you're saying, that's what I'm saying, you gotta be very careful and know who you're getting involved with. Fornication. Okay, we can get that, but let me see. Don't get that. Let me get that for you. Fornication is any unlawful sex act. Yeah, so like bestiality. That's fornication. Right? Let me see. This is Leviticus 20, 15, and 16. And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and he shall slay the beast. And if a woman approach unto any beast and lie down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman. So this is bestiality, right? Go ahead. And the beast, they shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
Okay, what else?
And if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing, and they shall be cut off in the sight of their people. He hath uncovered his sister's nakedness, he shall bear his iniquity. It's pretty much going into any, man, like incest. I mean, all these crazy, but like how you said, there's spiritual fornication as well, right? But this is the thing, there's also a physical one, and this is what it's going into, like, and any unlawful thing, any unlawful sex act, right? Something that's not, it's not normal for the most part. Yes, right? So this is what I'm saying. There's a distinction between adultery and fornication. Okay, yeah, I'll pray, and that's what we're here for. You know what I mean? And that's all these little, it's all these. I know it doesn't probably seem like much, but it's stuff that you're gonna have to ask questions, and I'll pray to the Most High that we can be those men that you can ask those questions to, right? Because and for example, the Sabbath though is a very important thing to the Most High, right? Those are that's part of one of the 10 commandments. That's one of those commandments that all of Israel heard, right? So it would, it would behoove you to practice the Sabbath, right? Even like how those brothers have their understanding of the Sabbath, it may be whatever it is, but they're trying to do it right? If you have that little understanding to keep the Sabbath and you know it's a sin not to, do your best to keep the Sabbath. You know what I mean? It's not nothing hard. The Sabbath was made for man, right? It's for you to kick back and chill. There's nothing hard. There's nothing hard about you resting that day, right? I'm glad y'all had these questions. All right, sis. Y'all took a flyer. Y'all have some videos that y'all can watch too. You know what I mean? You can watch some of our videos. We actually have debates. We're SICARII. Yeah. We have debates about the Sabbath on that YouTube that you can sit there, you know what I mean, slow down, rewind it, watch these debates, and have that understanding of it. You know what I mean? Look up SICARII Lunar Sabbath. You know what I mean? And get your study on, sis. All right, sis. All right, I'll praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High, man. Yeah. And this is what we're out here to do, man. We're out here to teach our people more than anything how they're going off, right? And have the proper understanding of doctrine, right? Have the proper understanding of what God requires of us, man. And I'm glad to be those men to be out here doing that. With that, I want to say, Kal Halal Yahweh Bashin Yahushai, and say Shalom, man.
I said we street teaching and doing music to educate. All praise, I had this gift since 2nd grade where I stay. They upgraded the murder from catching fades. Let's just say you niggas is weaker in 7 days. Cause how a nation come kidnap you and make you slaves, then separate the children and parents, change their names. No Damon Waynes for generations was major pain. And we kill each other, but when it's done we don't say a thing. You niggas stripping. Well, in other words, y'all niggas Christian. Worship white Jesus when scriptures give his description. And shout out to my kindred that's really living was written, keeping laws that was given instead of willfully sinning. I love saying Christ coming back, cause it's with vengeance. All we gotta do is endure like it's an entrance. Rehearse the righteous acts, who spiritually it's a scrimmage. And that real game start when the missiles pass the defenses. Let's get it, I'm chilling. It's scary but it's thrilling. Never trust the opposition, they come near me then I'm peeling. Like aren't you glad we no longer killing and drug dealing, but instead we out here healing. No more filling up them prisons, we almost at the ending. And now I don't care who like me, it's sore strokes for them folks cause they scared to fight me. And you in sin cause you clutching on that hand tightly. Calling on the Lord, you get ignored like scam life.